Hello everyone and welcome back to another high-level match of StarCraft 2. Now what I've got for you today is a best of 3 series of Zerg versus Terran, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on the map Gresven. Spotting right here in the top left hand corner, playing with the red Zerg drones, going for an extractor trick. Now that's interesting. We're looking inside of the main base of Solar. His opponent in the opposite corner with the blue Terran SCVs, he's also from South Korea, and he goes by the name of Cure. Alrighty, Cure and Solar in a best of 3 series. It's gonna be a hatchery first right here at 15 supply from Solar, going up against a low ground wall off right here from Cure. Generally speaking, both of these players, they like to play, it's actually a 14 supply Overlord. I would have assumed it was gonna be an extractor trick into a 14 supply Overlord. Okay. Generally speaking, both of these players, they play very quote-unquote standard games of StarCraft 2. Both of them are macro-focused pros, where, yeah, they don't necessarily play a particularly spicy style, but they're really good at just playing, well, quote-unquote normal. Either way, this is already off to a strange start. So, a 15 supply hatchery, 14 supply Overlord, into a 14 supply spawning pool. I wonder if this is something that Solar wants to play, or if he's making the assumption that Cure is going to be going for this very Korean-esque opener. Basically, all of the Koreans have been playing this exact opener right here over the last few weeks, and really over the last few months, but it seems to be gaining popularity, rather than normally whenever there's like a bit of a strange twist in the meta. Normally, it comes and goes pretty quickly, but this seems to be gaining popularity right now, with the double barracks right over here at the front. Okay, so there's a very good chance actually that Solar does this. He's making a lot of links. There's a very good chance that he does this on purpose just because he's making the assumption that Cure is going to be doing this build. So now he's going to get confirmation. So normally what Terrans do is they make 3 Reapers in total. We're going to need 1 more. There we go. And then a command center on the back of this. Now we have a lot of links. That's nice and all. I'm hard-pressed to imagine that this is a very efficient opener right here from Solar. Like, those links were out for a little while already. Maybe he was, like, obviously if this was like a proxy Rex, he would have absolutely shut down Cure. But generally speaking, Cure is not really the type of guy who will go for proxy Rexes, so... Anyhow, at the very least he's gonna have a lot of Zerglings available, albeit slow ones, against the triple Reaper start right here from Cure. Already, we've got a reactor coming up, as well as a tech lab. 2 additional Rex in the main base as well for Cure, so he is transitioning towards a marine timing attack that will hit in probably about 2 to 3 minutes or so from now. One of the problems with this opener, one of the issues you run into when you go for that 15 supply hatch, is that oftentimes it can be kind of tricky because you're taking a bit of an economical hit to actually take the 3rd hatchery here. So lovely little bit of micro right here from Cure, sending in the high HP ones, and then uses the other boys to shoot with their guns from the low ground. Okay. Anyways, 2 Zerglings only have gone down, so really nothing all too crazy, but your link speed is going to be kind of late, and if you can't sneak out a 3rd, so he gets a bit lucky here. If those Reapers are on point, they can deny it for a long time. It can be difficult to actually take an expansion right here for the Zerg player. Okay. So even though normally these guys, they play very normal games, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're gonna be seeing a very normal series here overall. We've got a bit of a spicy beginning, that's for certain. Okay. One of the Marines here apparently has been tasked with protecting the front of the supply depot. Turns out this is Cure's favorite depot, and he doesn't want it to take any damage whatsoever. Rather the Marine than the actual depot itself. Anyways, we've got ourselves a... It's actually kind of smart, because I guess if there's like a Baneling bust or something like that, right? So he's a little bit confused about what's happening here from the Zerg. If it is a Baneling bust, there's a good chance that Jimmy will take a hit to the face. He's probably not too excited about that prospect. None of that is happening in this game, but at the very least he could save the supply depot a little bit of trouble. So it's gonna be a quadruple barracks opener here with Stimpack and combat shields coming up right now. This does mean that there's gonna be a Terran timing attack coming up, but it won't be with, well, for example, Medivacs, right? Like, those units are usually used in conjunction with the Marines, but this is gonna just be a group of Marines that will march around the map by themselves. At least that's the current meta. Honestly, there are moments, right? So if Zerg decides to just make non-stop army here for a while, he should be able to just wipe the floor with the Terran move out. Because there's no way for the Terran player to retreat. If he gets around it, he just has to fight his way out. That's really his only choice. So if Zerg players start hard countering this and they just make an absurd amount of Zerglings and they do just, yeah, blindly make links to get rid of this army, I wouldn't be surprised if Terran players just march a little bit and then go back home. I think that would actually be quite clever. Either way, Cure taking, of course, some economical damage here because of this opener, because he hasn't got a third command center or anything like that. He hasn't really contained the creep threat either. I really do like the hatchery here on the left side, by the way, now. Normally this base would be preferred, but yeah, when you're playing against a marine base opener, I think this is quite nice. Bailing Nest, by the way, is done here for the Zerg player, who's now running across the map. Okay, he's trying to figure out, is there a base hiding somewhere? Is there something cheeky going on? But no, still no third command center. This build is very popular from Terran players over the last few months, like I mentioned, but I'm not sure that I like it. It seems decent at best. If Zerg players respond really cleanly against this, I just don't see how these openers are gonna work out in Terran's favor. But Terran seem to be playing this a lot right now, so I might be mistaken, but it just seems so risky. There's really no way for Cure to step on creep. There's really no way for Cure to deny the fourth hatchery or kill the third. I mean, if he activates Stimpack, these units are effectively hurting themselves for, like, you know, a good chunk of their lives. Zerg's just pushing this back. He also needs to be careful he doesn't wander around for too long, because look at the amount of reinforcements. I mean, Zerg obviously has been making army here for a bit too. He might just get overwhelmed. So there's still no third command center on the back of this. If he wants to go for a timing attack and he loses these units before the timing attack hits, he's gonna be in a world of trouble. You see what I mean when I say that I don't think I like this build, but Terran players seem to enjoy it quite a bit? It just... Now the third command center starts up. So 6 minutes and 40-ish seconds into this game is when the third CC finally begins. That's when it normally starts in, like, Gold League games. Actually, maybe a little bit later in Gold League. No, okay, no, that was mean. That was mean. Sorry for the Gold League viewers out there. No, but seriously, that is... For the series was played at the GSL Code S. For the GSL Code S, that is an absurdly late third command center. So he needs to justify this opener somehow, some way. Cure getting the kill in this base would be nice, but I actually wouldn't mind seeing Solar just give up on this base. I think that's actually what he's doing. He's dancing here to buy time for his centrifugal hooks upgrade to finish up. That's the bailing speed. I actually don't think I like the positioning right there on that bailing nest all too much. I mean, he might jump this, to be honest. He's got so many units. Like, there's a lot of links here as well at the bottom. Giving up this base, I honestly wouldn't mind it. He's gonna try. He's gonna try and keep it alive. I mean, yeah, no, he's actually certainly gonna... Oh, God. Try and keep it alive for as long as possible. Now he's lost quite a few Zerglings here, though, and I don't think it's really worthwhile, especially when you have a backup fourth. Wonderful dancing here, though, by Solar, man. Centrifugal hooks just a few seconds away from finishing, and now it's done. He was not prepared. I actually really like that timing there from Solar. I was gonna criticize him on it earlier, like when I first saw him moving in, but he probably cured, that is. He assumed that that upgrade wasn't gonna be done yet, and then it finished mid-engagement, and suddenly those Marines were unselected and they had nowhere to run. He would have been fine if it was slow bailings, but against speed baits that suddenly finish up the upgrade in the middle of the fight, I don't think that was quite worthwhile. I honestly don't believe that his opener has been quite worthwhile at all. Alright, quite a few units here get caught in the middle of the map. Still no medevacs here to really retreat these units with. Eventually the hatchery goes down, but like I said, there is another base here in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. Finally, as the third command center lands... Cure, it's like so... I don't know. I just don't see how this opener is good for Terran. But of course, it's a difficult map to close out a game on, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this game still goes on for quite a while longer, but if Solar wanted to be aggressive, I mean, he has got a very significant advantage here. Okay, now he still needs to clear out this position, apparently. I actually don't know if I agree with that. I wouldn't mind seeing him, okay, clumping up the banelings. Nice targeting, of course, with that siege tank. I wouldn't mind it if he just let the Terran player sit there, but apparently that's a little bit uncomfortable. Cure's gonna start putting down some pressure here in the bottom left-hand corner. One thing that he does have going for him here is the +2/+2 upgrades, but that's really about it. Hydro then coming up. Yeah, Solar maybe not to the same extreme as, for example, Elaser, who seems to stick around on just Hydraling Bane for the majority of the game. Sometimes he doesn't even get Hive Tech, he just sits on Hydraling Bane the entire time. Solar does that to a lesser extent. Oftentimes he will make like, I don't know, 4 or so lurkers, force out the ghost transition, and as soon as he sees one ghost, he's like, okay, guess those lurkers are out of the equation. I'm gonna go ahead and just make Hydraling Bane again. Okay. So supply-wise, this is totally fine though for the Terran player. It just seems that he takes such a big economical hit and he takes so many risks early on and he achieves very little with it. Anyways, it's a fun build to have in your arsenal of strategies, I suppose. I think this is probably going to be one of those things we'll see occasionally moving forward. Kind of like a proxy Rex opener, you know? Like, we don't really see it that often anymore because players have gotten very good at playing against it. That's the reason why we don't see it that frequently. But, yeah, I don't know. The last few times I've seen this build order, it inspires me less and less and less. Okay. Nice dancing over here by Cure. 4th command center is gonna finish up. Is he gonna take it over there? I really think he should take it over here. Planetary over here is so much better. He's gonna take it over there, really? That's interesting. I feel like all the games I've seen on this map lately, like this is the old school way of approaching this map. It may be because of the strategy though. But all of the games I've seen lately on this map over the last few months, they have taken that forward 4th base with the idea that you plant the planetary fortress over here and then you make, well, your extra command centers on the right side. Planetary is gonna start up. Same time, well, around the same time as the infestation pit here. So Solar is gonna maybe set himself up for a late game transition here. Okay. +2/+1. Lurker Den coming up. Okay. Yeah, so all things considered, the game is actually very even now. Maybe a slight advantage for Solar, but a lot of the games I've seen go the distance here lately do seem to go in favor of the Terran eventually. Good pickup micro right there by Cure, by the way, who's been trading incredibly cost efficiently. A lot of that, though, was because of that dancing, right? So, a few siege tanks here. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah, 3 siege tanks here have gone down at the cost of what seems to be about 50 Zerglings. Maybe not quite ideal. Hydras don't have their Speedy Boy upgrade yet. Yeah, the Muscular Arcwinds are gonna finish up here in just a moment. So that actually is quite expensive here. Yeah, Cure now strikes back. Can we get a scan? Beautiful. That's a whole lot of creep tumors caught right there within that one scan. There's not really that many Banelings available. And yeah, apparently, even though a few tanks ended up going down here, Cure is immediately ready to go for the counter-attack. Solar needs to be careful. Okay. Those line of sight blockers here can make it difficult for him to see that army coming in, right? Now, he's gonna set up a surround, that's for certain. Hive is not done yet, so we don't have, well, Vipers or anything along those lines. And despite the -3 siege tank situation, Cure still has a tremendous amount of army. I think Solar, though, is setting himself up to collapse on top of this. Yeah, he's setting up a surround from basically all of the different angles, splitting up the Lings and the Banes and the Hydras to try and mitigate as much of that siege tank splash damage as possible. The majority of the Marines over here somehow found a way out of there. Ay, 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 that was very dangerous. If there were like 5 more Banelings on the right side, those Marines would have, well, ran into them, but he just barely manages to control that fight properly. Viper coming up right now here for Solar. Fair enough. Hatchery, though, does fall. Kind of feel like it was reminiscent of that fight here a little bit ago up north, where eventually, yeah, Terran does get the kill. And even though it doesn't feel comfortable, it might just be my feelings, right, that are incorrect here. He does get it done eventually. And now we're on 5 base economy here for the Terran player. 5 base eco certainly means he can start avoiding, well, a lot of those late game Zerg units by making the ghosts. How many ghosts do we have at this point? 0. We're gonna go for the cloaking upgrade first. It's probably because he just had his army wiped off the map, so I think he's probably gonna try and just remake that first. Needs a bit of a backbone, of course, and then well, you've got a little bit of a Marine Marauder siege tank medevac type of army. I think it's time for a bunch of the ghosts. It could also just be that due to the fact that he hasn't seen actually any late game units here from the Zerg, that he's just not gonna bother. So we did see a Lurker Den, but like I said, Solar oftentimes gets them and then he doesn't actually do anything with them. Most of the time when we see, there's the 4 ghosts by the way. Most of the time when we see Zerg players, and this is something that Solar is very fond of in particular, that's why we have a sensor tower over here at the main base. He's very fond of the Nidus in the main base and then like, you know, 10 lurkers in the Terran's main. Super annoying for the Terran player to deal with. Now we do have the Seismic Spines upgrade coming up, so Solar is setting himself up for a transition. Yeah, so eventually we do arrive at a pretty normal game of StarCraft 2. In just such a strange way, though, of getting there, right? So this hatchery could certainly be targeted down. At the same time, there's a fight happening here at the bottom of the map, too. Looks like the medevacs are going to try and boost into the main base here instead. This is actually a much more successful attack over here, it seems, with a lot of drones going down. Nice bit of target firing. Picks up, gets it out of there. Notice how he's picking up only with the high HP medevacs there. Parasitic bomb on the medevacs here would be nice. Are we gonna split? We are gonna split. My god. Cure is actually on such a high level right now. I don't know what happened over the last half year or so, but he has been looking so good. His Terran versus Protoss is probably best in the world right now. I mean, maybe Maru would disagree, but like, I have been thoroughly impressed by Cure over the last half year. I used to cast so many of his games. I feel like I don't really, feature him that often anymore on the channel. But he is so strong when it comes to just the Terran basics, right? Like, it's not, he doesn't play fancy. He doesn't play spicy. He's no Gumiho. He's not like the turtle style that we see quite a bit as well. He's just rock solid at normal gameplay. And honestly, you can say the same thing for Solar. It's gonna be difficult for me to make a thumbnail and a title for this particular video, because both of these guys do play a normal game. I knew that going into this, so maybe that's the why. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I don't feature them as often on the channel. Now this is a nice catch over here though by Solar, grabbing a bunch of those units for free. Okay. Anyways, maybe that's why I don't cover them as often on the channel, because it's just difficult to make titles and thumbnails for standard games of StarCraft 2. Are we gonna push in here? Really? There's so many ghosts already available. Are we gonna see some Blinding Clouds? Okay, there we go. Blinding Clouds to shut down the siege tanks, but the Planetary has got 17 confirmed kills right now, and it's still alive. I don't really like that shove right there from Solar all too much. He's gonna remake his Lurker Den. But I love the sensor tower in the main base so much, man. It's so clever. This is specifically something that Cure does, I think, against Solar. No sensor tower here to spot the middle of the map, only where he knows his opponent is likely to be attacking from. Fourth base here on the right side of the map too. That actually is by design. Gets the kill over here on the hatch too. Lovely work. Yeah, the only thing I didn't like about this is the early game, but I didn't like it for either player that much. I liked it more for Solar though than for Cure, but apparently this is what we're doing right now when it comes to top level StarCraft. We're just playing strategies that feel a little bit inferior. That's a theme for 2023 actually. In a lot of games we see players almost on purpose playing strategies that they know are gonna be inferior just because the opponent is too good at standard play, and therefore you try and throw them off. You try and throw them off by playing builds that are gonna technically put you slightly behind, but they may put you ahead if your opponent isn't completely aware of exactly what's going on. You know what I mean? There's some really clever gameplay happening. Anyways, Cure. Going for the Blue Flame upgrade, going for the Hellbat transition, going for another armory. He is ready to start that late game Ghost Mech transition. Not a very popular style lately, I feel like. I mean, we do see it quite a bit, but a lot of Terrans have been switching into Mass Liberator instead, and they just sort of stick around on more siege tanks maybe, but quite a few Marines and Marauders too. I think it's maybe because of Solar sticking around on Hydraling Bane though, so he hasn't really shown anything other than Hydraling Bane and like 2 Vipers. And against this style, I think Mass Siege Tank Hellbat is gonna just... yeah, it's just gonna murder it, right? Base over here at the bottom section of the map taken right now. This is something that Cure probably will need to address. Same for this base up north. He's already addressed it a couple times. He's gonna try and do so once again. This time around though, he's gonna have to come back later. Tactical Nuke coming up. Okay, Smart Servos researching as well. At this point, Cure is rich. Finally, we're gonna see a push right here through the center, but I really don't like it all too much here. Just all so expensive, yeah. Solar has got a lot more resources in the bank right now than Cure, and he can easily remax. But none of those traits are efficient, and really, what did he achieve there? Nothing. Nidus Worm coming up. This always feels like Solar doing it whenever he's behind, okay? He's thinking about making 10 lurkers right now. He's gonna put them in his opponent's main base. I can almost guarantee it. This is what he loves to do and what he does continuously whenever he feels like he is in a tricky position. I've seen him do this, I think, every single Terran versus Zerg, where he's starting to, like, be a bit concerned about the direction that the game is going. Okay. Hellbat's pushing back. Hellbats, of course, basically just expensive marines. They're a little bit more supply heavy, but they only cost minerals, and that's really the only thing that matters right now. Once again, Solar moving forward. Sticking around on Hydraling Bane because of these bad boys right over here on the right side of the screen. He does clear out most of these units though, and that is really nicely done. Yeah, getting a kill right here on that command center would be sweet as well. There's probably quite a few more command centers ready to replace. As a matter of fact, there's already one flying on over in this direction. Cure, not somebody who's gonna grief for his command centers apparently. Alright, we have Infestors coming up, so Solar is gonna try and make that transition towards a late game army. Lurkers, Infestors, we're gonna get all the upgrades too, but this is gonna take a while. It's not gonna be easy to, yeah, maybe he can just continuously push here with the Hydraling Bane army that he's got, but it's difficult for him to really make that transition right now. It's gonna take a while, and if he waits too long, then Cure is gonna take his half side of the map for certain. Action is on Solar here. Nidus Worm in the top right, okay. This is another location, I guess, where that can be very helpful, but already, man. Ghosts are getting in position. Are they gonna wait? I think they're gonna wait. I think they almost should wait. Okay, there's once again a big attack forward over here. Lurkers should be able to pop out of that worm here momentarily, and that can be very annoying. 7 SCVs have gone down already, and once again, I think that other base may be in some trouble. Banelings! 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 What? Solar burrowed the Banelings there, but he did not actually detonate them. There's a, oh my god, an Infestor there in the mix too. That engagement could have been an absolute disaster for Cure. Cure was on top of it, right? With basically all of his ghosts on the Banelings. Lurkers could have been harassing this base for a little while. Infestor could have uprooted and then maybe thrown a fungal away. So much potential there, but in the end, nothing's really done. And now these Banes are gonna have to pay the price. Oh my god, okay, that was a moment there where Solar could have absolutely slapped away that army. I'm a little surprised though by the Nidus Worm here. The fact that it's not been respected at all and that Solar is also not committing at all. It's a weird gentleman's agreement here. Top right hand corner of Gresfin. Here we go once again though. Solar realizes that he cannot really allow this base. Planetary Fortress at this point is done though, and that is going to make everything so much harder. He needs to clean this position up because we're getting to a position where it's a split map. Right, this base over here is supposed to be the Terrans. But if Terran can take that base, okay, now we're sniping Banelings as well. If Terran can take this base over here, and they can secure this one or the one at the bottom, it's GG. There's really no way that Solar can contest with a Terran player who's mining 50% of the map. His army just not cost efficient enough. He cannot make an army that's cost efficient enough. It's by design, so that's why he's doing these almost desperate attacks towards these bases in the top right. He wants to make sure that this army is not going to be able to secure that position. And now he needs to give it up. Lurkers here are harassing, by the way. But indeed, Solar recognizes the situation that this game is headed to, and he GG's out. Brilliant game right there by Cure. Other than the early game, okay? Brilliant with a little asterisk right next to it. Royal Blood. That's map number 2 in this best of 3 series. Cure has been steadily climbing through the ranks once again. There was a moment where he didn't look quite as dominant, but as of me making this video right now, he is looking like he's in absolute world-class shape. So matter of fact, he's just recently overtaken Björn on Aligelek. Björn who's also looking really good, by the way. He is now considered to be the number 3 in the world overall. So in first we have Cyril, in second we have Maru, and in third we have Cure. Then it's Björn, Dark, Raynor, Clem, Hero. Where's Solar? Should I have a quick little look? I don't actually see Solar right now. Solar is number 10. Okay. So Solar currently number 10, Cure currently the number 3. Yeah, there are moments though where I do get a little bit concerned for Solar, right? Especially in the late game, it doesn't really seem to be the phase in the game that he seems to be too fond of right now. By the way, this time around it looks like a standard 13 supply hatchery, or 13 supply overload rather, into a 16 supply hatchery, so a very normal game. Curious opener though in game number 1. I'm really starting to wonder what Solar was expecting there from Cure, because I'm not convinced that against that double Rex opener, right, the triple Reaper start, that 8 Zerglings is really what you want. Like, it's good, but you're delaying your link speed quite a bit, and I actually think if you're delaying link speed quite a bit, Cure could have easily committed to even more of his Reapers, and I think it could have actually been some yeah, some issues. And then obviously taking the third base, you need a little bit of luck that the Terran units aren't in the right position. Yeah, not convinced that that was ideal for him. So obviously there's a chance that these two have been playing against each other quite a bit on the ladder, for example, or maybe they've been facing a lot against each other in like smaller online tournaments, and that every single time they've been playing on Gresvan, Cure has been going for proxy Rex. But that could also be due to the fact that they had a GSL match coming up, which is again what this series is from. So Cure may not have been too fond of showing his best strategies. Although again, the early game was really, really strange and really uncomfortable. Anyhow, like when he took the third base, he was at like 43 SCVs, I think, and Solar was at like 60 something, taking a fourth. Like that really didn't seem like a particularly playable situation for Cure, but apparently a lot of the Terrans, man, they're very fond of it. I wonder if Zergs can just go for some sort of all-in against that, because that economical difference is huge. Anyhow, like I said, standard opener here from Zerg, and a very standard opener here as well from Cure. We'll have to see if he decides to go for the starport or if he decides to go for, yes, the third command center in the main base. So we will be seeing a starport soon, but not until after the third command center has been fired up. And this is, of course, the standard opener. When we're talking about standard, this is what you gotta picture, okay? So barracks into command center, into factory, into command center, and then eventually into a starport. We'll see the reactor here built by the barracks. It's going to be used on a factory to pump out Hellions 2 at a time. And we'll probably see a tech lab here momentarily as well. Although there's no starport yet. And that position right there on the barracks is a little bit funky. Okay, well, I'll have to keep an eye on exactly what the plan is here, because Cure could certainly be adding it on if he wants to. No Overlord Scout, it looks like, by Solar. Normally, if we're going to see an Overlord Scout, it'd be moving right about right now. 3:45 to 4 minutes is the standard time to arrive in the Terran's main base. Ah, okay. So we made Marines here, specifically to deny any sort of Overlord Scout, while we're going for a second factory in the back of the main. Third factory in the back of the main too, okay. So Cure going for a little bit of battle mech, I would imagine. Interesting. Are we gonna make another tech lab here? Yep, we are. Okay. So that's it. So this factory is gonna get that one, this factory is gonna get that one. We're gonna start pumping out both the Cyclones as well as the Hellions 2 at a time. Now this is not quite normal anymore. The first few structures that I mentioned, that was all A-okay. This right now does get a little bit funky. Zergling Scout here. It's gonna try and confirm what's happening. He sees the timing of one of the gases. I don't know if that is really enough for Zerg player to make a decision. If he decides to stick around on, for example, like Ling Bane here, this could be very dangerous. He hasn't decided yet, by the way. So he's looking right now. He sees that there's no starport. It's a pretty late scout actually from Solar, but this already, I mean, it's looking real fishy. He doesn't see exactly what's going on, but I think it's basically all he needs to know. Okay, Lair fired up together with a Roach Warren. So double tech lab here. Got this Cyclone upgrade as well as the Hellion upgrade. And that's gonna make those units very powerful. If this was Lingbane, it would be a little bit trickier. I like the amount of creep spread here so far. Wouldn't mind seeing it push just a little bit further forward, just because that's what you need against this sort of battle mech style. Solar trying to fully saturate his 3 bases, and I guess the plan is just to go for, yeah, a 4th hatchery and then make non-stop Roach Ravager. There's no Evo chambers or anything along those lines. I think it'd be difficult to afford it, and honestly, I'm a little bit concerned for him here. These queens are in so much trouble. There's no roaches available just yet. He must have roughly realized what he's playing against, though. Okay, there's the 9 roaches started up. Roach speed should begin as well, pretty much immediately. Okay, good transfusions over here. Those queens really helping out. Trying his best to just snipe as many of those Hellions as possible. There's the Roach speed. Macfield Accelerator though, as well as the Infernal Pre-Igniter. Well, one of them is already done. So the Hellion Blue Flame and the lock-on improvement for the Cyclone. They're gonna get red LEDs right in front of their trucks. There you go. Cars, trucks, whatever you want to call them. They have some very interesting wheels going on, okay? They're like tanks, but with multiple sets of I don't know. Anyways, additional factories showing up right now. As if Cure hadn't shown it already, he's gonna show the opponent the barracks here that, yes, this is definitely going to be Terran mech. And this dance over here, it is beautiful. We had some nice dancing by Solar in game number 1 with the Lings to try and keep that base alive. Now Cure is showing us very similar dance moves right here on the Cyclones and the Hellions. The cost efficiency here is through the roof. Very, very efficient way to fight this Zerg army when there's no spellcasters or anything available. This is the best that Zerg can do. As long as Terran micros it well, it's really hard for the Zerg to get on top of this. Now, he is starting to get a couple of kills. Zerglings here in the meantime on the other side of the map trying to maybe kill a mule, that'd be nice, but reinforcing Terran units are going to be able to get rid of that as well. Even a Spore Crawler is coming to the front right now, maybe to kill the barracks. I don't really care about the barracks if I'm being honest with you. The barracks has been taking a lot of damage, by the way, and obviously that means that the queens were busy dealing with targets that really don't matter very much. Solar desperately producing as many roaches as he possibly can here, but Cure is carving a path right here through all of that creep. And with the creep gone, it's going to be difficult for Solar to ever stabilize here, but he really needs this Terran to make a mistake. He needs to set up a surround, he needs to get a rep around, he needs to get an infestor, maybe Vipers going, but he's a long way away from all of that. So at this point, I think his best bet is to cross his fingers and hope that Cure overextends. Cyclones driving to the back right here. Those Hellions mostly just in the front to, well, sacrifice themselves. We've had 4 Cyclones going down. But for 39 roaches, I think that's a trait that any Terran will be happy to make any day of the week. Cure's still making a good economy as well, right? So he's got a good amount of eco on the back of this. He could certainly fire up a 4th... Oh, no. A 4th command center. He gets the opponent's Roach Warren. The Roach Warren does get rebuilt immediately in the main base. Solar trying to get a rep around here with some of these units, and he does manage to connect with some of it, but it's disjointed now with these roaches coming in after the other roaches are basically already gone. For the foreseeable future, we're not going to see any roach production. And honestly, that may be the rest of the game. I've got a feeling that, yeah, Zerglings are not going to be a very good answer here. Okay, no, maybe not. The Roach Warren is going to finish up here momentarily. Creep Spread is connecting these bases once again. Cure going into an armory right now too, by the way. Getting some upgrades would not be bad. Maybe even morphing in some Cyclone, or sorry, some of these Hellions into Hell Bats would not be a bad call either. But look at this area, right? Like, this fight is just a painful one. Solar, he knows very well that he needs to give it his all in the GSL Code S and that he really can't GG out, but this is a painful one. There's gonna be a moment, I believe, where Solar is gonna have to rip off the band-aid. Because right now, he's been peeling it slowly but surely, you know? There's some, like, body hair that got stuck to it as well, and he's, like, slowly ripping it out. This is a painful game right here for any Zerg player, but of course, a wonderful one by Cure. He ends up winning over Solar 2-0.